Good day, viewers. My name is Alhassan Abdulmumin Imam. Here is the news from News and Current Affairs Al Ummah television station here in Gusau. Now the headlines. Zamfara State House of Assembly calls for teachers recruitment in the state. Niger State House of Assembly calls for establishment of special hospital for wounded victims in the state. Bauchi State Governor accuses State Universal Basic Education for not supervising teachers in the state. Zamfara State Government lifts bans on IOS and NGOs in the state. Many people died as flood hits Libya. Now the news in details. Zamfara State House of Assembly has called on the state government to recruit primary and secondary school teachers from each ward of the state in order to rescue the educational sector in the state. This was contained in a statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary of the House, Bello Madarukuria, and made available to the newsmen in Gusau, the state capital. According to the statement, the majority leader of the House, Honorable Bello Muhammad Mazawaji, made the call in the plenary and is seconded by the minority whip, Honorable Nura Dahiru Sabon Birni. Mazawaji explained that if employed, the teachers will assist in addressing the problems of inadequate teaching staff, particularly in the rural areas, and further increase enrollment of the students in their respective areas. In their separate contribution, members representing Maru North, Gumi 2, Gusau 2, Safi West, Anka, Bungudu West, and East, respectively. Honorable Nasra Abdullahi Maru, Honorable Bashiru Aliyu Gumi, Honorable Ibrahim Garba Liman, Fegin Mahe, Honorable Amiru Ahmad Keita, Honorable Rilwanu Marafa Anka, Honorable Bashiru Sarken Zango Bungudu, Honorable Yakubu Almajir stressed the need for recruitment of teachers from the 14 local government areas across the state. In a related development, Niger House of Assembly has passed a resolution calling on Niger State government to establish a special hospital for treatment of victims of banditry and kidnapping in the state. This followed the adoption of a motion by Haruna Duzu, PDP Munya, at Tuesday plenary in Mina. Presenting the motion, Duzu said that victims of banditry and kidnapping go through physical, psychological, and mental emotional trauma as a result of violence by the bandits. He said the victims only get physical treatment from health facilities without getting psychological and emotional support to help them overcome the trauma. These victims live their lives in fear for the rest of their lives, and for some of them, adjusting back to normal life become very difficult. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has accused the management of the State Universal Basic Education Board and the local government education authority secretaries for sabotaging his effort at developing the state education sector. The governor made the accusation at the opening of a meeting of education stakeholders, including suburb management, Ministry of Education, LGEA secretaries, and local government area caretaker, held at the banquet hall of State Government House in Bauchi. Bala, who lamented the high number of out-of-school children in the state coupled with the decline in the standard of education, said that the administration has failed the people of the state regarding educational development. He further explained that his attention was drawn to some areas where completely State Universal Basic Education Board is not doing well despite renovating over 500 classrooms in the state. Governor Bala, who put the blame on the lack of proper supervision by the board and called on all relevant stakeholders to employ necessary mechanisms to improve the educational standard in the state. You are watching the news from News and Current Affairs Al Ummah television station. But before we go on break, let us remind you of our headlines. Zamfara State House of Assembly calls for teachers recruitment in the state. Niger State House of Assembly calls for establishment of special hospital for bandit victims in the state. Bauchi State Governor accuses State Universal Basic Education for not supervising teachers in the state. In part 2, when we return, Zamfara State Government lifts ban on IOS and NGOs in the state. Many people died as flood hits Libya. We will be right back.
Al'umma TV, al'umma kafar sadarwa. Maraba muke da al'umma.
Welcome back. You are watching the news from News and Current Affairs Al-Ummah television station here in Gusau. Now the rest of the news. Zamfara State Government said has lifted the ban of activities of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, put in place by the previous administration. The Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Honorable Abdul Malik Abubakar Gajam, stated this when he visited the State Office of the Coalitions of Non-Governmental Organizations in Gusau, the state capital. Gajam, who described the present administration of Governor Dauda Lawan as NGOs friendly, said they are ever ready to collaborate with both international and local NGOs in order to rescue the state. He therefore called on all the development partners to come together and contribute their own quota in order to move the state forward. It will be recalled that the administration of former Governor Matole banned the activities of all international and non-governmental organizations in the state for the lack of proper registration and security reasons. Federal government said it is doing everything possible to address the hardship faced by Nigerians as a result of the fuel subsidy removal. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, Nebiolosa Anako, stated this while addressing the 22nd Joint Planning Board, JPB, and National Council on Development Planning, NCDP, meeting Tuesday in Oshogbo. Anako said that the current hardship in the work of economic reforms, which had resulted in the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira, are temporary. He explained that the present administration is doing everything possible to address the hardship faced by Nigerians in the wake of economic reforms, which has resulted in the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira. He therefore called on Nigerians to be more patient while assuring them that things will get better. Libya authorities say 2 dams collapsed as a result of devastating flood that hit the city of Dana in eastern Libya, killing at least 2,000 people and leaving thousands more missing. The 2 dams above Dana collapsed after a severe storm and heavy rain, according to Ahmed Mismari, spokesman for the Eastern-based Libyan National Army (LNA), which governed Eastern Libya. Ms. Marie estimated there were 5,000 to 6,000 people still unaccounted for, and added 7 LNA members had perished in the flood. He claimed that Benghazi, Libya's second most populous city, was among the numerous cities along the eastern coast that had been impacted by the floods. Rescue effort had been hampered by the city down-ponds line, which prevent workers from reaching Dana due to the extensive damage, as several nations have expressed their condolences and offers assistance to the country. That's the news from Al-Ummah television station here in Gusau. But before we go, let us remind you of our major headlines. Zamfara State House of Assembly calls for teachers recruitment in the state. You heard that Niger State House of Assembly calls for establishment of special hospital for bandit victims in the state. You also heard that Bauchi State Governor accuses State Universal Basic Education for not supervising teachers in the state. And we also told you that Zamfara State Government lifts ban on IOS and NGOs in the state. And lastly, you heard that many people died as flood hit Libya. Be a patriotic citizen. Report any suspicious movement around you. On behalf of the production crew, the news editor Ismail Muhammad Tukur Kaura, I am Al Hassan Abdul Mumin Imam saying goodbye for now.